Okay, and now we have an introduction to large language models by our very own Sandra from Cohere. Sandra, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. So I feel very confident leaving the stream and our guests in your hands. So take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. And welcome, guys, to Generative AI Hackathon. I hope you are having amazing educational experience so far. I'm going to talk to you today about the basics of large language models, following up on what has been said so far. All right. So, I actually want to start with the picture that you might recognize from Lewis's presentation on image generation. This is a photorealistic image of a cat that I generated today for the purpose of creating a meme. We hopefully all love memes, at least many of us do, and I think it will be a fun warm up to get going. So I'm using this demo called Meme World. I'm going to show it to you at the end. But I just cherry picked one example that I particularly love to create a meme. So let's do it. First up, we use the generative image to insert it into the app. And then we choose the type of subject that we want to create a meme about. And hopefully in the backend, Cohere API is generating a handful of cool startup related memes and will give us something like this. When your startup gets funded and you can finally afford a new laptop. If any of you has ever created a project of your own and launched it as a startup, you might probably recognize yourself in this photo and meme. So then I put it together and voila, we have a cute meme entirely created by the generative AI. The demo, I'm going to share the link with you later on, is hosted on Hugging Face, and the gentleman that has created it is actually part of our community members and can be found on our Discord and is looking for contributors. So if you want to continue work on this one, please, by all means, connect and get going. All right, but on a little bit of a more serious note, language processing technology has been rapidly evolving and improving for the last couple of years. And it's actually all around us. Here you can see a number of applications that you may or may not be using on a daily basis. Well, for sure, at least the Google search is something that we all use on a daily basis and would be lost without. And whether it's autocorrect on your phone, whether it's automatic reply on your email, whether it's a snippet that comes up with a Google search containing the exact information that you're looking for, this is our reality and we are just surrounded by it. And language models are starting to deliver some of the best results in these use cases. And as you can see, the big tech guys are really after it, but not only them. We have a whole new ecosystem of startups being created with the use of the latest language processing technology. And the applications span from copy generation to next generation of chatbots to next generation of search. It's really inspiring to see the startup ecosystem blossoming, and it's a great time to build new and competitive stuff. So we also have a first unicorn in October. Jasper raised ginormous Series A round at a whopping $1.5 billion valuation, which makes it the first ever unicorn built off of large language models. About me, I'm Sandra. I'm looking after community at Cohere, but I also am running a YouTube channel where I explore large language models. I also write about them. I really went down the rabbit hole, especially in terms of the generative models, the GPT-based models. And so it's been a fascinating journey for the past couple of years, and I want to share with you some of the stuff that I have learned. As I mentioned, I look after community at Cohere. I'm part of the developer relations team, and I really love my job because we at Cohere are working on large language models wrapped in the form of an API that allow devs around the world without any machine learning / AI background to use these cutting edge large language models and create new stuff out of them. And I get to work with folks that are deploying these models into production on a daily basis, into real world use cases. So let's chat a little bit about that. But before, I also want to talk to you about the sort of origins of large language models. Here you can see a paper called Attention is All You Need, a research paper published in 2017 by Google Brain folks, which became extremely famous and changed the face of natural language processing field forever. It introduced architecture called Transformer, which is the foundational architecture for all these large language models. And one of the team members is actually Aidan Gomez, who happens to be our Cohere CEO and co-founder. Once he published the paper, he quit Google Brain and he started working on creating an API that will allow for the access to these models to anyone, anywhere. I think this is probably the best resource that I have found on large language models and on the transformer architecture. If you're looking for a more digestible, very nicely illustrated resource on what transformers are and how they work, Jay Almer has this fantastic, famous blog that you have to check out, connected with his YouTube channel. Jay's actually also part of Cohere, and he will be having a workshop right after mine. So stick around and check it out. Make sure to check it out. But yeah, a little bit more about these transformer-based models. These are basically a large, huge neural networks that are trained on massive amount of data coming primarily from the internet. And somewhere during the process of trying to make them better and better, the researchers found that when you start scaling the amount of data you use for training, the amount of the architecture, and also the amount of compute that you use for it, these models start to show the very, very interesting and very new capabilities that were unheard of in the research space before. And here you can see some of the key use cases that large language models are covering today. Among them, there's search, there's text generation, text clustering, text rewriting, summarizing, classifying, extracting, all sorts of stuff. And it really calls for just using these capabilities, building on top of these use cases, and just coming up with new types of products and new types of solutions. Okay, let's talk about text generation for starters. So at Cohere, we are working on GPT models that generate text and that you have heard a little bit about from Ed and Louis before. So these GPT models are first and foremost known for being able to generate text that is either as good or even better than text generated by humans in seconds. The way they work is pretty intuitive. You just need an input text, and as an output, you also get text. And what they are is, I like to use the comparison of autocomplete. It's like the world's best autocomplete, so to say, that tries to understand that given the input of text, what will follow as an output? What will be the most probable continuation of the text that you just inputted to the model? Now, when you are working with generative models and you are generating text, it's important to make sure that you test it out a bit and you generate a handful of outputs and choose the best one that fits your specific use case, your specific task. I want to show you very briefly how our playground looks like. It's a simple, very intuitive sandbox for our models, which allows you to interact with them without the knowledge of code whatsoever. So I encourage you to play with the generate, the embed, and classify endpoints that I will talk about a little bit later. And I really encourage you to go and check out the workshop on generating text with Cohere that will be hosted at 2 p.m. ET on Saturday by Mior from our team. So definitely, if you want to dive deeper into this capability, check it out. So I just want to leave you with also one key idea here, which is prompt engineering. With generative models, we have found that there is a completely new paradigm of interacting with them and of writing software called prompt engineering. It's basically like talking to the model, trying to sort of cast a spell so that the magic will happen on the model side. And it's really important how you structure the prompt. It's really crucial what sort of instructions you provide and in what fashion. And it will differ depending on the type of model you're using. Some prompts will be more appropriate than others. There are also specific phrases, specific structure of these prompts that it's worth to think about, and Mior will be tackling that during his workshop. So yeah, definitely check it out. Now, next to text generation models, we are also working with representation models. And let me start explaining what that is by showing you how to tell your computer how it's going. It's my favorite example. If you're asking yourself how to ask your computer what's up, this is how to do it. Basically, we need to represent text in specific form using numbers in order for it to be able to process it. And a lot of this text today is being represented using Unicode standard, which also even encompasses emojis. And so far, numeric representation was useful but limited. Here is one of the examples of where it was used. So for example, if you wanted to check whether the user's password matches a certain criteria to make it as secure as possible, you would be able to do that with the existing numeric representation array of tools. However, they did not encompass meaning of the text. And this is where large language models brought its magic component in the form of embeddings. Thanks to LLMs, we have now embeddings which work in the following way. You give the model a string of text, and the embedding model will turn it into a numeric representation of this text called an embedding. And this numeric representation captures a lot of the information, a lot of the context behind this given text, which gives us a lot of room to sort of maneuver and process this text further. For example, we can compare embeddings to one another. Once we embed a list of questions, we can compare two questions to one another and see how similar they are So for example, how it's going will be 2% similar to when do you open, but 90% similar to hi, how are you? Why is it useful? Let me show you my favorite example of the embeddings sort of utility in the form of semantic search. So let's imagine that you are building a platform and you want to automate the customer support there. You have an incoming messages, and let's say there's a customer question about the product that you really want to automate responding to because it keeps repeating, it's in your FAQ, etc., and you don't necessarily want to have this human in between the person that asks and gets the answer. So with the embeddings, you are able to take this customer question, embed it, compare it to already embedded FAQ questions in your database, just like we discussed before. You can compare it in terms of the similarity score, and you can set a certain threshold, let's say 90% similarity, to then take the question that hits this threshold of 90% and then output it as a response. So in that way, the system is able to answer the customer question by providing relevant information from the FAQ without any need for human intervention whatsoever. It's pretty dope. Okay, so we can use embeddings and generation models to build classifiers. And text classifier is basically a piece of software that takes text and assigns a label to it. And I just want to leave you, I will not dive into details, but I want to leave you with the landscape of text classifiers that we have currently, which is quite diverse. You have for sure encountered a number of them in your life already. For example, spam classifier that takes care of our spam emails, toxicity classifier that does not let you to be toxic, whatever that means, however it is defined online, in online communities, in online conversations, for example. Or chatbot intent classifier that tries to figure out if you need the customer support, what kind of support is it that you need? Do you want to exchange something? Do you want to check how your order is doing? Do you just want to say hello? What is it? So these are the types of classifiers that are out there, and the most common use cases for classifiers that we see today are for customer service and content moderation, just like I mentioned. I want to also show you that at Cohere, not only we do develop these incredible models, but we also love to play with them on a daily basis. And so we come up with all sorts of cute demos that I want to show you today. First up, let me show you a demo that is still a work in progress and will be much improved, but I'm always trying to sort of show it. This is a Pokédex. It will take a photo of me and then assign a label. Out of this label, Cohere API will create a new name of a Pokemon, this case, Jomon, and then the description of what this Jomon is as a Pokemon, what it does, what are its habits, etc. So Jomon, this powerful Pokemon battles using its fangs. It usually does not release its jaws, so it cannot speak. Type, psychic. An example of a fun app. Next up, affirmation bot. One of my favorite applications. So one of our co-founders, Ivan, loves affirmations and is extremely good at coming up with new types of affirmations. We actually, Adrian Morrison from our embeddings team took Ivan's affirmations and trained the model to come up with similar affirmations such as Ivan. And so now we are able to get this wisdom automatically within seconds without Ivan having to spend time on it. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? Next one. Every day, I am becoming the person I want to be. And so on and so forth. I'm going to leave you with these links so you can play around. Another really cool application is actually a hackathon solution that was at Major League Hacking, which is an interview application that allows you to prepare for typical technical questions that are related to the position that you're applying for. You first insert the position that you're applying for, then the app is generating a bunch of questions, and then the app is also scoring your questions against, whether they make sense, how short or long they are, how concise they are, what kind of lingo is being used, and so forth. So another great application. Here, Jay Alamar is taking embeddings to the next level, combining 10,000 Hacker News posts with text clustering. It's a really, really impressive demo that allows you to sort of search through the Hacker News in terms of the topics and keywords that are somewhat related to one another and see the map of the conversation that's happening there. A similar thing could be applied to Reddit, for example, or maybe Stack Overflow or something similar. Think of playing with the archives, internet archives of human knowledge that way and being able to sort of look at it from the bird's eye view. Pretty incredible. Yeah, and finally, it's this meme world, which you can actually find here on our community Discord. So if you hit up this fellow and you want to talk to him about working on the meme world, please do. He's looking for other folks. We also have a bunch of really cool demos on Cohere Discord under the project demos. One of them is the grounded QA bot. And what it does is it takes an incoming question and it's searching for the best first result online for it, comes up with the answer and also links to that answer. So let's try with, what is generative AI? And as you can see, the bot is working. By the way, if you're into Discord and into bots, we would love to showcase your demo bots here if you want. We can sort of make them available on our Discord. A lot of folks are interacting with these, so please have that in mind. We love to showcase the stuff here. We love to be on Discord and also sort of have the conversation there. All right, so we have the solution. The answer. Generative AI is the technology to create new content by utilizing existing text, audio, files, or images. With generative AI, computers detect the underlying pattern related to the input and produce similar content. Not bad. And then there's a couple of links related to that answer. You get the idea. Go and try it out yourself, or even better, build something similar. We have actually released the Grounded QA bot as a sandbox. So it's open source. You can take the base for it and then develop something completely new on top of it. Yeah, and so next up, I really want you to go and check out our Discord community. We are hosting a ton of community events there. We're hosting talks with people from the NLP ecosystem. So if you're really passionate about this subject, go and check it out. Also share the stuff that you're working on and tell us what you need. Maybe you need the technical help. Maybe you need promotional help. Maybe you are looking for team members. So yeah, just consider joining and use it as a resource to grow. And yeah, that would be it from me. Now, let me know if you have any questions. Checking on the stream whether there are any. There is a question whether Cohere API can work on predicting images. Can you talk a little bit more about your use case in terms of predicting images? If it's about image recognition, as simple as it sort of sounds, then no, we do not handle that at the moment. We generally focus on text-related use cases and try to sort of get as good as it gets in that area. Let me know if you have any questions, any other questions.
So that was really a good presentation. I'm sure our community will. Oh, there we go. What features of Cohere would you advise to try out during the hackathon? There we go.
Oh,
got a question.
Yeah, great question. So definitely text generation. Definitely try out the command model, which is a recent release and it's really, really good. Basically, command model is like Instruct GPT where you are able to just like give it a single line of an instruction and then it will go and do stuff for you. So really encourage that one. And since hackathon theme is generative AI, it would be really cool to see a combination of different modalities on top of Cohere, I guess. So I don't know, Cohere API and Stable Diffusion, or perhaps text to voice. Go as creative as you want. We really want to see how far you can push the models. Yeah.
Okay, we've got also another question on what is your take on generative AI art, specifically animations made by Stable Diffusion 2.0?
Oh, great question again. I love Stable Diffusion. I think it's an incredible resource, and we are just sort of getting started in terms of discovering the potential for it. I know that it will only. I have spoken with Stable Diffusion folks, and I know that it will only get better from there. They're really doubling down on the different modalities, but including animation. I think Stable Diffusion 2.0 is like, I guess it depends what you're looking for. The previous version could be better than the newest version. I find it really useful to use the older version for generating images. I haven't tried generating animations with Stable Diffusion to compare the two versions, so cannot really help on that, but there's plenty of sort of comparisons online, so go and check it out.
Very cool. Maybe a final question. So Hamada is asking, do you have use cases related to industrial applications? So can you tell us more about how Cohere is used in industrial applications today?
Gotcha. Industrial meaning?
Probably commercial.
Commercial. Okay. So I'm not sure I can mention the names of the companies, so I will avoid it for now since I'm not sure. But we have customers that are using our models to, for example, improve the personal communication, online communication. So think about writing emails, summarizing emails, stuff like that. And another thing is that I noticed that with our customers, what they are working on is that they will try one use case, but they will also explore like a number of others because they, just start to discover the tools. So I think we will see many different ways in which Cohere is being used from one particular company future on, as soon as we can talk about it openly. Yeah.
Wonderful. And the Pokedex definitely made a mistake because that was a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and you are more than able to speak. So it was great. And myself particularly, I love when we combine different building blocks of artificial intelligence. So if we use Cohere to generate prompts, and then if we use Stable Diffusion to generate images, what kind of tool could we make? Could we make an infinite amount of artworks and publish them on the Amazon web stores and become billionaires overnight? Why not? There's just an infinite amount of possibilities here. So thank you very much for that workshop.